Hey there folks, it's me, TheTacticalBrit, and yes, it has been pretty quiet on this channel recently, but there is a reason for that. Now, I'm currently sitting my second year university exams, but I've got some really good news that they finish next Friday, which is super cool because it means I have 4 months off until September, where I can literally just create as much content as I humanly want. And alongside all of that, I do have some sponsorship deals coming up with a few people that I'm going to announce soon on a PC build series, which is going to be releasing shortly towards the end of May. Now, with that all said, on to today's video, and today we are talking about Fortress mode, which has come to Battlefield as a limited time mode like we've seen previously with things like Grind. All in all, I have to say this is a mode that's grown on me as the day's gone on. I played it a couple of times earlier, I sort of kind of thought it was decent, went to the library, came back home, and yeah, I've played it a bit more, and I've got to be honest with you, it stood out to me as a very enjoyable mode, and I think it definitely captures some of the slightly more chaotic and scenic environments people wanted to see from the game that they'd previously seen in Battlefield 1, but not to the sense that it's too chaotic and you end up just getting killed by everything like you would in Battlefield 1. There's actually a reasonable layer of flanking routes available in both the Devastation layout as well as the Hamada layout that make this a kind of skilled mode. It's not just all out, everybody dies from MMGs. If you're a smart player, you'll find different routes into the objectives and you won't die as frequently. And I found this today, and I think overall it's been quite impressive, but I want to list my pros and cons in general just to be relatively objective and talk about the mode from a standpoint as well as in terms of how it fits into the live service. So let's start off with the pros of the game mode. Well, like I mentioned, definitely one of the chaotic more types. If you enjoyed Grind, you're likely going to enjoy Fortress. If you enjoy building especially, Fortress is going to be right up the alley for you because it comes pre-built with multiple fortifications that can then be reinforced or reorganized or redistributed. It's really cool, lots of sandbags, lots of machine guns, and as you can see in some of the footage today, that is a sure way to defend the fortress, so to speak. Like I mentioned too, there are also some good flanking routes, so for those of you who enjoy front lines, this is definitely something that you might participate in and somewhat enjoy. And finally, I have to say that it's quite scenic. I know this is a weird compliment for a mode or something that typically wouldn't be considered a pro, but there's some really cool moments, especially when you're attacking the fortress, that I think really capture what they're trying to achieve with this message and what they're trying to achieve with the mode in total. And I think if you read the sub-message that they have in the description for it, that it's supposed to give the fantasy of attacking a fort, it definitely does do that. There's lots of various types of machine guns, and there's lots of Pack 40s and stuff like that you can utilize. And if you're an infantryman, definitely smoke grenades on the offensive side of things will be your best friend. So it really does simulate that kind of environment that I think is enjoyable and quite fun. It's by no means my favorite mode in the world because, it can be quite grindy at times, but I do appreciate it for being a slightly different experience. Now on to the cons. Yes, this does end up in some cases being that kind of mode where it's just MMGs, shotguns, fast rate of fire SMGs, and I don't know, dynamite and stuff like that. Now that's not to say that that's necessarily a bad thing for all players, but it becomes kind of the sort of Metro style cheese you've come to expect from that kind of genre of grindy gameplay. Now, some people will really enjoy it, some people won't. It's a bit of a love-hate Marmite style situation, and all in all, it does allow snipers, MGs and shotguns to thrive at certain ranges, but I think the most versatile players use a mixture of weapons. I actually had a lot of success today with the MAT 44. Now, that's by no means saying that you can't navigate this mode intelligently, because one of my gripes with Grind was they were so linear and lacked so many different flanking routes that it basically was just a case of spawn in, try and kill some folks, die, repeat. Because of the actual fortress style thing, it's much more of a sort of line of defense that you try to break through. So if you hit them on the right, left or central sides, you'll see different levels of success based on how many people are there and how well your offensive efforts have been and their defensive efforts have been. So it actually ends up becoming this sort of grand battle, but also at the same time gets divided into lots of different subsections of battles. So the overall sort of shotgunny, grindy awfulness isn't too bad or as bad as it was in Grind as a game mode. Now, moving on with cons, I think one of the obvious ones is definitely you do get those instances where you feel like you're killed by something random, be it a plane dropping a few bombs on Hamada, a grenade that's just randomly been tossed at you, or some dynamite, or anything in between, and they can promote some pretty frustrating experiences. You'll also definitely have some frustrations with teammates on offense who definitely don't understand the concept of running towards a building and attacking, but that's pretty much the nature of any given mode, like Breakthrough, like Frontlines, or anything in between. But all in all, on this quick video today, because honestly it doesn't warrant too much of an explanation, I really have enjoyed this mode in general. And my only big gripe, and this is my major disappointment with this mode, is the fact that it's just come after grind. Now, the biggest problem with live services is not giving enough variance, and more importantly, not giving people enough reasons to come back. Now, if you're a player who's just, popped onto Battlefield to play grind, and then you pop on, a few weeks later because you hear about this new mode called Fortress, they are slightly different, but of course, to the average eye, they're just going to be like, it's another meat grinder mode, I think I'll just leave it. And that's kind of a problem, I would much prefer this came after something like air superiority or tank superiority, or a vehicular based game mode or a grander scale based game mode. Now, it's not to say that Fortress is a bad mode, and it's not to say that it isn't different from grind or a different experience, but it's a similar experience, and that kind of similar experience, in my opinion, should be very much disassociated in terms of the actual overall live service. You don't want to have grind, then this, then something else. You want to have grind, then tank superiority, then fortress, then air superiority, and that kind of, dissemination of lots of different game modes is really important, and something that I hope we get to see lots more of. So guys, that's it from me today. Let me know what you think of Fortress in the comment section down below. Is this a mode that you've enjoyed? Is it something that you dislike? And definitely, what do you want to see next? Of course, there have been some on-screen polls for you to answer too. As always, folks, thank you for watching, and I'll see you again soon in the next video.